Ethan was a simple human soldier who lived in a small room inside the alien palace where he worked as a mechanic for royal machines. Most people forgot he was even there. Most people thought humans were weak. But that night, everything changed for him. He was half asleep when he heard a soft knock on his metal door. It was not loud, it was not normal. It was like someone was afraid to knock harder. Ethan slowly sat up for a moment. He thought he was dreaming. No one ever came to his room. No one ever visited a human at midnight inside the palace. The knock came again, a little stronger this time. Ethan stood up and walked to the door when he opened it. His breath stopped. The alien queen herself was standing right in front of him. She was the ruler of 1,000 star systems. A woman with power that could make armies bow and planets shake. Her tall form was covered in silver armor. Her long hair glowed faintly like soft light. But tonight something was wrong. Her eyes were not fierce. Her voice was not cold. She looked scared, truly scared. She took one step forward and spoke in a soft voice Ethan had never heard before. "Can I sleep with you tonight, human?" Ethan froze. His mind stopped working. The queen. The mighty queen, the strongest leader in the galaxy, was asking a human mechanic to let her inside his small room. He looked down the hallway. No guards, no royal advisors, no cameras. She had come alone. Why? Why here? Why him? Ethan stepped aside without thinking. She entered quickly and closed the door behind her. She stood there, breathing slowly, as if she had been running from something that terrified her. Ethan tried to speak, but his voice failed. When he finally gathered courage, he asked her, "Is everything all right?" She didn't answer. She simply walked to the corner of his room. Her armor made a small cracking noise. Ethan noticed the metal. It had scratches, deep marks, like something very sharp had tried to tear through it. "Who attacked you?" Ethan whispered. The queen sat on the edge of his bed. Her eyes looked toward the dark corners of the ceiling, as if she expected something to crawl out. She did not look like a queen at that moment. She looked like a woman afraid of the dark. After a long moment, she finally spoke. "I cannot stay in my chamber tonight. It is not safe." Ethan felt cold fear run through him. If the queen's own royal room was not safe, then what danger could make her come here to the room of a human with no power? No status, no weapons. He walked closer, but carefully. He did not want to break her trust. He asked quietly, "Why me of all people? Why my room?" She looked at him with eyes that were tired, soft, and honest, in a way he had never seen. "Because you are the only one I trust tonight." The words hit him harder than any punch. The queen trusted him. A human, when she did not trust her own guards, her own advisors, her own palace. Ethan suddenly felt the air change. Like something heavy and dangerous was waiting outside the door. He checked the window. Everything looked quiet, but something deep inside him told him this was not a normal night. The queen lowered her voice. Her hands touched the cracks on her armor. "Something is hunting me." Ethan felt his heart jump. "Hunting you here inside your own palace." She nodded slowly, and every part of her body showed fear she tried to hide. "I have not slept in 3 nights," she said. "It keeps following me. It wants me alone. That is why I came here." Humans confuse it. Humans make it hesitate. Ethan did not understand everything, but he understood one thing. She came to him not because he was strong, but because he was unpredictable. Because humans did things no creature expected. Because humans broke rules of fear. The queen looked at him again. Her voice was almost a whisper. "Please let me stay here, just for tonight." Ethan felt something awaken inside him. A responsibility he never asked for. He nodded once, and the queen slowly relaxed for the first time. But outside, something sharp dragged across the palace wall. A sound. Both of them heard a sound that said the danger had finally found them. And the night was only beginning. Ethan stood completely still after hearing that sharp, dragging sound outside his room. The queen tightened her jaw, but her eyes showed something he had never seen in her before. Pure fear. Not fear of war. Not fear of enemies, but fear of something that wanted her alone in the dark. Ethan moved closer to the queen. He wanted to say something, anything, but words felt useless. She sat on his small bed with her hands on her cracked armor. Her fingers trembled. Slightly, Ethan had never imagined the mighty queen could tremble at all. "What is following you?" he finally asked. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper. The queen looked toward the window again. Her breathing grew faster. "It is not something I can defeat easily. Not tonight. Not in this condition." Ethan wanted to ask more, but suddenly the light in their room flickered. Just one flicker, but enough to make the queen's eyes widen. She stood up, her body tense. She stepped closer to him, her voice lower than a whisper. "It is here." Ethan felt the air grow colder, like the oxygen had become heavy. As if something invisible was pressing against the walls, he moved slowly toward the window. Outside, everything looked calm. Nothing moved, no guards, no creatures, nothing, but he felt watched, not by eyes, but by presence. Something was close. Too close. The queen touched his arm gently. A gesture Ethan never expected. Her voice carried weakness. She never showed in public. Humans create confusion. "It does not understand humans. That is why I came here. That is why I am still alive." Ethan blinked confusion. He was just a human mechanic. He had nothing special, but the queen was standing beside him like he was her shield. Her anchor, her safe place. She continued speaking, her voice shaking a little. "It has followed me for 3 nights. It never sleeps. It never stops. It wants a queen alone. A ruler alone, because then the royal bloodline ends with one kill." Ethan felt cold fear in his stomach. Something was hunting her, something smart, something patient. He asked her softly, "Why come to me? Why not your strongest warriors?" The queen did not answer for a long moment. Her eyes looked at him as if she was searching for something. Finally she said, "Because my palace is full of people who want me gone, but you are the only one who would not betray me, even if the whole world asked you." Ethan looked at her. She spoke those words with complete trust. He swallowed slowly, wanting to say something comforting, but the moment was broken when another sound hit the wall. This time, louder, a heavy scrape metal against stone. The queen grabbed Ethan's hand, her fingers tight. "Do not move," she whispered. Ethan stayed still, his heart beat loud. The scraping continued, moving slowly across the outside of the wall, as if something long, something sharp, was dragging itself around the palace. Searching, Ethan felt it, not sound, not sight, but presence. A cold pressure, like someone was leaning against the room from the outside, listening, waiting. The queen closed her eyes, her voice almost gone. "If it enters, we will have only seconds," Ethan whispered. "What is it? What does it want?" Her eyes opened slowly. "It was created by my own council, a weapon. They lost control over a creature that hunts royal blood. They want me gone, and this monster follows orders only from its hunger." Ethan felt anger rise inside him. The queen had no one she could trust, except him, a human. One who was never meant to be part of royal life, yet here he was, standing between a queen and death itself. The queen stepped closer, her face only inches away. "Do not leave me alone," she said. "I cannot face this thing again tonight." Ethan nodded. He was afraid, very afraid, but he would not run. Something inside him refused to leave her alone, not when she chose his room, not when she trusted him. The scraping sound stopped. Silence filled the air. A silence so deep it hurt to breathe. Then a soft thud landed on the ceiling above them. Ethan looked up slowly. Something heavy had arrived. Something watching, something waiting. The queen whispered, "This is only the beginning." And in that moment, Ethan realized that the night would not end quietly, and whatever hunted the queen was now hunting them both. The sound above them grew heavier. Ethan could hear the slow movement of something large crawling across the metal ceiling. Every step sounded like claws sinking into steel. The queen stood close to him, her breathing quiet, her body tense, like a bow ready to break. Ethan whispered, "Has it been this close?" Before she shook her head. "Never. It stayed in the shadows. On rooftops and dark rooms, but it never came this near." Something has changed. Ethan's small room suddenly felt too small, too fragile. He looked around for anything he could use to protect them. There was only an old human rifle he kept from the war. It was week old, but it was better than nothing. He grabbed it. The queen's eyes softened a little. She respected that he was willing to fight, even if the weapon could not kill the creature. A deep scraping noise passed above them again, this time heading toward the window. Ethan held the rifle tighter. The Queen stayed behind him, her presence warm and cold at the same time. The window darkened. It was as if something blocked the moonlight. Ethan could not see a shape. Only darkness, thick, heavy, alive. The Queen whispered, "Do not speak, do not breathe loudly. It listens." Ethan stayed frozen. The dark mass outside pressed closer against the window. It made no sound, no breath, just pressure, like a predator studying its prey. Then two small golden lines appeared. Eyes, not animal eyes, but something older, something born to hunt kings, born to kill queens. The Queen stepped back. Her fear was raw, unhidden. Ethan looked at her. He understood now this creature was not just dangerous. It was built to terrify. Built to break the mind of its target before breaking the body. The eyes blinked once slow. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. The creature knew they were inside. The Queen whispered, "It does not understand humans. That is why it hesitates. That is why you are alive. Still it can learn." Ethan swallowed. He felt sweat on his hands. He lifted the rifle slowly, not to shoot, but to show the creature he was not useless. The golden eyes followed the movement. The darkness outside shifted a long shape, moved something huge, something that could wrap around the entire window frame. Suddenly, the glass cracked a thin line, then another. The Queen reached forward and pulled Ethan back, her voice sharp with fear. "It is testing the room. It wants to know how strong the walls are." Another crack spread across the window. The creature pressed harder. The metal frame bent slightly. Ethan's heart pounded. He had fought in a war. He had survived explosions, but nothing felt like this. Nothing felt this close, this personal. The Queen took a deep breath, her voice firm, but frightened. "If it enters, it will not stop. It will not retreat. It will kill everything in the room until nothing moves." Ethan stepped in front of her. He did not feel brave. He felt human. Which sometimes was the same thing. He whispered, "Why does it want you? Why not someone else?" Her eyes dimmed. "Because I am the last of my bloodline. If I fall, the throne becomes empty. The council gains full power." This creature was created for one purpose, to erase me. Ethan felt anger burn inside. They wanted her dead. They wanted power, and they sent a monster after her. Even in her own palace, even while she slept, the window creaked, the frame bent more. The Queen's eyes widened. "It is coming." Ethan stepped back with her. The creature's claws slid along the wall, searching for a weak point. For a moment, everything went silent. Ethan thought maybe it moved away, but then the ceiling dented above them. A heavy thud, dust falling. The Queen grabbed Ethan's arm. Her voice shaking. "It knows the room is weak above us. It will break in from the ceiling." Ethan pulled her away from the bed. Another dent appeared, then another. The creature was moving fast. The Queen whispered, "We must move now." Ethan opened his door. The hallway was empty, cold, too silent. He knew leaving the room was dangerous, but staying meant death. The Queen stepped behind him, close, her voice trembling. "If it enters, it will not stop. We cannot let it trap us in this room." Ethan nodded. He held the rifle, his hands shaking. He took a deep breath and stepped into the hallway with the Queen behind him. The creature above them scraped loudly, realizing its prey was moving, and the hunt truly began. Ethan stepped into the hallway with the Queen right behind him. The lights flickered again. A cold gust of air rushed through the corridor as if something enormous had displaced the air. Above them, he could hear the creature scraping across the ceiling, trying to track their movement. Its claws dragged like metal hooks, slow, precise. The Queen whispered, "Keep moving. Do not stop. It can sense stillness." Ethan tightened his grip on the old rifle. He knew it was useless against a creature built to hunt royalty, but holding it gave him courage. Even false courage was better than none. They walked carefully through the dim hallway. Every door they passed seemed too quiet. To empty the palace usually had guards, servants, light, but tonight it felt abandoned. As if everyone had disappeared the moment danger arrived. Then a loud crash behind them. The ceiling broke open. Shards of metal fell to the ground. Dust filled the air. Ethan pulled the Queen away as a dark limb dropped. Through the opening, long twisted, covered in black scales that reflected light like glass, the queen gasped. It has grown. It was not this large last night. Another limb slid through the hole, then another. The creature was pushing its body down little by little. Ethan saw a glimpse of its head, long and narrow, with eyes like two burning golden flames. Ethan whispered, "Run!" The queen did not hesitate. They sprinted down the hallway. The creature roared, a low sound that shook the walls. It dropped through the ceiling and hit the floor with a heavy thud. The entire palace trembled. Ethan turned a corner. The queen followed closely, but the creature moved faster than he expected. Its claws slammed into the ground. It slid across the floor with terrifying speed. Chasing them, Ethan reached a stairwell. He pushed the queen ahead. "Go, I will slow it." She stopped, her eyes wide. "No, you cannot fight that thing. You will die." Ethan shook his head, his voice firm. "No, we will both die if you stay. Go." The creature roared again. Coming closer, the queen hesitated for a moment. Then she grabbed Ethan's arm, her voice breaking. "Do not die, human. Do not leave me alone." He gave a small nod. She ran up the stairs. Ethan stayed at the bottom. He lifted the rifle, aiming at the hallway. The creature burst through the corner. Its golden eyes locked onto him. Ethan fired the shot. Echoed loud. The bullet hit the creature's head. It did nothing, not even a scratch, but it slowed the creature 1 second, one precious second. Ethan turned and ran up the stairs. The creature slammed into the staircase behind him, breaking whole steps. Dust and metal flew everywhere. Ethan reached the top, and the queen grabbed his arm, pulling him inside a maintenance room. She slammed the door shut and locked it using a metal bar. They stood there, breathing hard, listening to the creature scraping the outside wall. Ethan knelt down, trying to catch his breath. The queen stood over him. Her expression mixed with fear and guilt. She whispered, "This is my fault. You should not be involved. You are not part of the royal bloodline. This fight is not yours." Ethan looked up at her, his voice steady. "If someone wants to kill you, then it is my fight." The queen stared at him, her eyes shining with something new, something warm. Something she had never shown anyone, but the moment was interrupted by a loud crack. The door bent inward. The creature was trying to break through. The queen stepped back, her voice soft. "It will break the door. We cannot stay here." Ethan looked around the small maintenance room. There was only one other exit. A ventilation shaft, barely wide enough for a human, definitely too small for the creature. He pointed at it. "You go, I will distract it." The queen shook her head. Violently, "No, I am not leaving you." He stepped closer, his voice strong. "You are the queen. Your life matters. You must survive. Go." The queen stared at him with pain in her eyes. She touched his cheek gently, her voice trembling. "Do not die, human. I cannot lose you." Ethan forced a smile. "I will find you. I promise." The creature slammed the door again. The metal began to tear. Ethan pulled the cover off the ventilation shaft. The queen crawled inside. Her eyes locked on him until the very last second, then she disappeared into the darkness. Ethan turned toward the door. The creature pushed its face through the opening, its golden eyes burning, its long teeth dripping with thick black fluid. Ethan stepped forward, rifle in hand, ready to fight. Even if it meant dying, the creature roared, and the locked room exploded into chaos. The creature burst through the door, and the entire maintenance room shook. Ethan stumbled back as a massive claw slammed into the floor where he had been standing 1 second earlier. He rolled away. Barely dodging another strike, dust filled the air. The smell of cold metal and something rotten spread across the room. Ethan raised the rifle again. He knew it was useless, but he fired anyway. The loud echo distracted the creature. For a moment, its golden eyes turned toward him. Focused, hungry, Ethan backed away, slowly, step by step. Trying to lead it away from the ventilation shaft where the queen had escaped, the creature followed. Each movement slow but heavy. Its claws scratched the ground, leaving deep marks it enjoyed. The chase, it liked watching its prey struggle. Ethan reached the far wall. There was nowhere left to run, he whispered to himself. Just a little more, just enough time for her to get away. The creature lunged, a massive shadow falling toward him. Ethan dropped to the ground and slid under a broken pipe. The creature's claw smashed into the wall, instead cracking the metal like thin ice. Ethan crawled out and ran toward the hallway. He did not look back. He knew it was right behind him. He could feel its breath. Cold, slow death waiting to happen. He turned a corner and slammed into something soft yet strong, the queen. She had crawled out of the ventilation shaft on the other side and run back for him. She grabbed his arms tightly. Her eyes wide with fear. "You were supposed to escape. Why are you still here?" Ethan shook his head, trying to catch his breath. "I told you I will not leave you alone." A loud roar echoed from the hallway. Dust rained down from the ceiling. The creature was close to close. The queen pulled Ethan inside a small storage room. She closed the door quietly, not to block the creature. It could break through anything, but to buy them seconds, just seconds. Ethan leaned against the wall, his body shaking. The queen knelt in front of him, her hands trembling as she checked his arms and face. "You are hurt." Ethan shook his head. "I am fine, but you should not have come back." She closed her eyes, pain and truth in her voice. "I came back because I cannot lose the only person who sees me as something more than a throne." Ethan stared at her. The queen's words hit him deep. More than a throne, more than a ruler. Before he could respond, she continued speaking, her voice soft or broken. "There is something you must know, something I hid from everyone." Ethan leaned closer. Her eyes were shiny, almost teary. "The creature is not only hunting me because I am queen, it hunts me because my blood has bonded with someone. Royal bonds are rare, strong, dangerous, and I never told the council who I bonded with, because it was not an alien, it was a human." Ethan's breath caught. His heart beat faster. Bonded with him, a queen. Bonding with a human was forbidden, impossible, yet here she was, saying it like it was the only truth she ever trusted. He whispered, "When did it happen?" She lowered her head, her hands gripping his tightly. "The night you saved that alien child during the war. Everyone else walked away. You did not. You fought without fear, without reward, without looking for glory. I saw you, and something inside me chose you. I tried to hide it, tried to forget, but a queen cannot control a bond once it forms." Ethan swallowed hard. He never knew, never guessed. He was just trying to survive, trying to do what was right, but the queen continued, her voice shaking. "The council sensed it. They knew someone had my trust, someone had my bond. They created the creature to end it, to kill both of us, if needed." Another roar echoed down the hallway. The walls vibrated. The queen moved closer, almost touching her forehead to Ethan's, her voice low. "Do you understand now? It is not just hunting me, it is hunting you too." Ethan felt a wave of fear, but also something else, a strange warmth, a connection, a truth he never knew he needed. He whispered, "Then we fight together." She looked at him, her eyes soft but fierce. "Yes, together." Suddenly the door bent inward, a claw ripped through the metal. The creature had found them. The queen grabbed Ethan's hand, her voice strong again. "Run, we must reach the royal chamber. It is the only place with enough energy to stop this thing." Ethan nodded. They opened the other door. The hallway was dark, cold, silent. The queen squeezed his hand, her voice a whisper, "Do not let go." Ethan gripped back. "I will never let go." And together, they ran into the darkness with the monster right behind them. Ethan and the queen ran through the long hallway. Their footsteps echoed against the cold palace walls. Behind them, the creature roared again. Its claws struck the floor as it chased them with terrifying speed. Every sound reminded Ethan that death was only seconds away. The queen pointed toward a tall doorway ahead, her voice urgent. "If we make it inside the royal chamber, we can trap it for a moment. Only a moment, but it will be enough to strike back." Ethan nodded. He forced himself to run faster, even though his legs burned. The queen stayed beside him, never letting go of his hand. Every breath between them felt like a promise, a silent vow that neither would leave the other behind. They reached the door. The queen pressed her palm against a glowing panel. The door opened slowly, too slowly. Ethan looked over his shoulder. The creature turned the corner, its golden eyes locked on them, its mouth opened, revealing rows of long black teeth. The queen pulled Ethan inside. The door closed, just as the creature lunged. Its massive claws smashed into the door. The entire chamber shook. Ethan stumbled. The queen held him steady. The royal chamber was huge, tall pillars, a glowing crystal in the center. Blue energy flowed through the floor like liquid light. The queen moved toward the crystal, her voice calm but shaking. This chamber can amplify my power. But the council locked it. I need time to unlock the crystal again. Ethan stood guard near the door. He could hear the creature scraping, slamming its body repeatedly. Trying to break through, he yelled to her, "How much time do you need?" She looked down at the glowing symbols. She was trying to activate her fingers, shaking. Too much, not enough, I do not know. Ethan took a deep breath. He scanned the room. He needed something. Anything, a weapon, a shield, a tool, but the chamber was clean empty. Only the crystal and pillars remained. The creature roared again, a louder sound, more furious. More impatient, the door bent slightly, metal, groaning. Ethan felt his heartbeat jump. It was coming inside. Nothing could stop it. He ran back to the queen. Her hands glowed faintly. Blue energy spreading from the crystal into her palms. But not enough, not yet, she whispered. If the council had not sealed my access, I could stop the creature instantly. They want me dead. They want you dead. Together, we are a threat to their power. Ethan frowned. Why me? I am just a mechanic. Just a human. The queen looked up at him, her eyes sad, because a queen who bonds with a human breaks every rule of their system. And a human who wins the queen's trust becomes more dangerous than any army. The council knows this. They fear what we could become, so they made the creature to erase us both. Ethan felt his blood boil. He grabbed her shoulders gently, his voice firm. We are not letting them win. Her eyes softened, but at that very moment, the door finally cracked. A long claw slipped inside, followed by another. The creature forced the door wider. The chamber filled with cold air. The queen gasped. Ethan pulled her behind one of the pillars. The creature stepped inside. Its body huge and twisted, its golden eyes glowing in the dim blue light. It turned its head, sniffing the air, searching. Ethan held his breath. The queen stayed close, her heart beating fast. He whispered, when the crystal is ready, tell me, I will distract it. She shook her head. You will die. Ethan smiled a little. Not if you finish in time. The creature slowly walked between the pillars, its claws clicking, its long tail dragging like a blade. It moved with purpose, slow, confident. It knew they were here. The queen looked at the crystal. The energy grew stronger. Brighter, almost ready, but the creature was too close. Ethan stepped out from behind the pillar. The queen gasped silently. Ethan shouted at the creature, here, over here. The creature's head snapped toward him. Its golden eyes narrowed. It roared a sound that shook the ground. Then it charged. Ethan ran. He dodged between pillars. The creature smashed into them, breaking stone, cracking the floor, but Ethan kept running, turning, sliding, doing everything he could to delay it. The queen stayed near the crystal, her hands glowing with rising power. Almost, Ethan stumbled. The creature leaped its claws, swung toward him. He ducked and rolled, barely escaping. The creature crashed into another pillar, stone shattered. The queen shouted, Ethan, it is ready. Ethan turned toward her. The crystal now glowed like a star, energy swirling around her. Her eyes bright, her voice powerful. Come to me now. Ethan ran toward her, the creature right behind him. It reached out its claws inches from his back. The queen raised her hands. Blue light burst from her palms. The chamber exploded with energy, and for the first time, the creature screamed. The royal chamber shook as the blue light burst outward. The creature staggered, its limbs twitching, its golden eyes blinking rapidly as if blinded by the sudden power. Ethan shielded his face from the glowing wave. He could feel the energy push against his body like a strong wind. But he stayed on his feet because the queen stood in front of him. Her hands glowed brighter. The energy from the crystal flowed through her like living fire. Her hair lifted in the air, her eyes turned a deep, shining blue. She looked like a goddess from an old story, a queen at full power. The creature tried to roar, but the sound was broken. Weak, it stepped back. Confused, afraid, for the first time, the queen raised both hands. A beam of blue light shot forward. Striking the creature in its chest, it screamed. Its entire body shaking, dark scales cracking like shattered stone. Ethan watched, mesmerized, terrified, in awe. The queen was powerful, but she was also exhausted. He could see her arms tremble every second the beam continued was a second of pain for her. She was giving everything. Ethan ran to her side, supporting her before she could collapse. She leaned into him, her voice strained. "Do not let me fall, not yet." He held her steady, her power burning against his skin, but he did not let go. The creature stumbled backward. It crashed into a pillar, then into the wall, its body breaking apart. Pieces of black armor falling to the floor like dead leaves. Finally, with one final scream, it collapsed. The light from the queen's hands faded. The creature's golden eyes went dark. Its body lay still, silent, lifeless. Ethan turned to the queen. She was breathing hard, her knees shaking, her skin pale. He caught her before she could fall. She leaned against him, her voice soft. "It is over." "You saved me, Ethan." Shook his head. "No, we saved each other." She looked up at him, her eyes tired but warm, her voice almost a whisper. "You kept your promise. You did not let go." Ethan smiled gently. "I told you I will never let go." The chamber grew quiet. Only the soft hum of the crystal remained. The danger was gone, but the world outside was not safe. The queen knew it. Ethan knew it. She pulled herself closer to him, her forehead resting gently against his chest, her voice trembling. "The council will come soon. They will see the creature is dead. They will know I am bonded with you. They will try to take everything from us." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. His voice firm. "Then we fight together. Whatever comes next, we face it as one." The queen closed her eyes. A tear escaped, not from fear, but from the weight of everything she kept hidden. She whispered, "I never wanted this bond, but now that I have it, I cannot lose you. Not in any world, not in any life." Ethan held her gently. He felt her shaking, not from weakness, but from relief, from release. From finally being seen as more than a ruler, she looked up at him again, her voice soft and fragile. "Can I stay with you tonight? Not because I am afraid. Not because I am hunted, but because I choose you." Ethan touched her cheek slowly, his voice steady. "You never needed to ask." She smiled for the first time, a real smile, warm, human. Her eyes shined as if the whole galaxy rested in them. They left the chamber together. The queen leaning on him, Ethan wrapping his arm around her for support. The palace was quiet, but not peaceful. The council would soon learn the truth. They would be angry, dangerous, but Ethan and the queen walked without fear. The queen spoke softly as they reached the hallway. "When I entered your room tonight, I was running from death. But now I am running toward a future, and that future is with you." Ethan nodded. He felt it to a strange mix of fear, hope, and something deeper, something he could not name. They reached his small room again. The same door she knocked on hours earlier, except now, everything was different. She was different, he was different. She took a step inside, turned back to him, her voice quiet, human can. "I sleep with you tonight." Ethan stepped in with her, closing the door gently, his voice warm and sure. "Yes. You can sleep here tonight, and every night that comes after." The queen rested her head against his chest. For the first time in her life, she felt safe, not because of power, not because of armies, but because of one human who refused to let go. And in that small room on that silent night, a queen chose a human forever, and a human chose her back. The galaxy would never be the same again.